Cool, man. No problem. No problem at all.
Who are you?
I am the Great Cornholio.
Who?
Guardians of the Galaxy is directed by James Gunn, and it stars Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista, Zoe Saldana, Bradley Cooper, and Vin Diesel.
And it is the 10th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we're reviewing this movie today, and then we're going to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 tomorrow, and that review for that movie should be up by Friday morning.
This movie is about a ragtag team of criminals who are forced to work together through circumstance to stop a powerful being named Ronan the Accuser from taking control of the galaxy.
When this movie was announced that it was going to be made, I was met with a lot of confused reactions because these comic book characters weren't really necessarily known by the general audience, so not a lot of people knew what to expect from this movie. But when this movie came out, it was very, very surprising to a lot of people, especially me.
And to be honest, it was kind of a really, I'm gonna say, kind of, I guess, ambitious idea to create a movie based off these characters.
Yeah, especially a movie about a talking raccoon and a giant walking tree.
Even, I didn't know much about them, and to be honest, they didn't really sound like that fantastic of a group to be put into this big MCU, this universe with the Avengers, and it really seemed like they would fit that well. And the first point I want to bring out with this movie is how funny this movie is, and compared to the other MCU movies, the Avengers movies, it's very funny and it actually fits. It fits so well in this movie. I don't really remember one joke or any type of humor that was in this movie that didn't fit well at all.
Yeah, because honestly, most of the jokes of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, they just feel so forced and very cringy.
Loki is beyond reason, but he is of Asgard, and he is my brother.
He killed 80 people in 2 days.
He's adopted.
He killed 80 people in 2 days.
He killed 80 people in 2 days. 80 people in 2 days. He's adopted.
But this movie, like Marquez said, it just fit the movie a lot more and it didn't feel forced at all.
And another really big thing this movie did was the soundtrack was fantastic. Not only was the soundtrack really good for this movie, but the music fit really well in every way they put it in this movie. Because in a lot of movies, what they'll do is they'll have this really good soundtrack, but they'll find weird ways to put it in the movie and it just doesn't fit. And in this movie, it just really knew how this music was supposed to be used for this movie.
A great thing that this movie does is there's so many characters that they have to introduce in this movie. I mean, there's 5 members of the Guardians of the Galaxy in this movie, and not only those 5, but there's a whole bunch of other characters, including the villain, Ronan. But they do it all so well. They were able to introduce each of these characters and give each of these characters meaning, because usually a movie like this where there's so many characters, they try to introduce them way too quickly that you don't fully understand each of the characters, and it gets really jumbled and it's a huge mess. But this movie does it really well.
And as you were saying, just to add on to that, and what some movies may not do, what this movie did was they had the relationship between these characters be a growing relationship instead of having a random scene just like thrown in there to where they just kind of talk to each other and that's what we're supposed to base all the relationships off of. We get a gradual relationship. We get to care about the relationship between all of these characters.
Another thing that stood out to me in this movie was the visuals, just like the sets, wherever they would go to a different planet, or even if they're just in a spaceship, everything looked so awesome. It just looked like you're actually in that new world. And some of the characters like Rocket Raccoon and Groot, specifically Rocket Raccoon, he actually looked like an actual raccoon. Sometimes in movies, whenever they try to make animals with CGI, it looks fake. You can sort of tell it's not actually there. But Rocket actually looked like he was actually standing there in the room with characters.
And the character that I love about this movie, which I mean pretty much everybody loves, is the character of Peter Quill or Star-Lord. And the fact that he's this criminal, but you see his past and you see who he is as a person. You know, he listens to this music all the time, and it's not just music he listens to just to not be bored. It has a deep meaning to him. This character is just so deep of a character, and it's just so amazing to see some superhero movies, which, I mean, a lot of them do, but some of them don't, and that is to give me these compelling characters to care about.
And something this movie is able to do that some of the other Avengers haven't been able to do is have like space battles. And the action overall, not just the space battles, but even like the hand-to-hand stuff, it was all well choreographed and very visually appealing. Now, one thing that I do have to bring up that Marquez doesn't agree with me about, but the acting in this movie I felt was a little rough at times. It wasn't that big of a deal to me. For the most part, the actors did pretty well, but I found some of their acting really not up to par. And one other thing that I need to bring up about this movie was the villain of Ronan. I mean, he was definitely powerful, there's no argument about that. But him as a character, I felt that he was very mediocre. I don't think they gave him enough for him to be a very compelling villain.
So guys, I absolutely love this movie. If you have not seen Guardians of the Galaxy, please go out and rent it or buy it or something and go watch it, because it's such a fantastic movie, and I can't wait for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So I'm going to go ahead and give Guardians of the Galaxy an A+.
Out of all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, this is definitely one of my top picks. So I'm going to give Guardians of the Galaxy an A.
Well guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also comment below to let us know what you thought about Guardians of the Galaxy, and let us know how excited you are, or if you're not excited at all for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Also, now that we're on the subject of MCU, let us know what you think about the Defenders trailer that just came out, and we're really excited about it. I thought it looked awesome. If you haven't seen it already, you can go ahead and look that up, or you can actually go in our description. We're going to put in a link in the description for the Defenders trailer.
And like always, don't forget to follow us on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at 2awesomemen.
And as always, thank you so much for watching, and you will see us later.